once a solitary desert hunter, now curls up in your lap, yet carries the instincts of a silent predator that hasn't changed in thousands of years. The story of the cat begins not in homes or cities, but in ancient forests and grasslands more than 25 million years ago. From a small, agile predator called Pro-Ilurus, often regarded as the first true feliform, a family would evolve that included lions, tigers, leopards, and eventually the modern house cat. Around 10 to 15 million years ago, the cat family, Felidae, began to diversify, giving rise to both large, apex predators and small, stealthy hunters. Then, between 2.5 and 3 million years ago, a key branch emerged, the Felis genus, ancestors of all wild cats and domestic cats today. Among this lineage, one species would become central to human history: the African wildcat, Felis libica. These cats were solitary, nocturnal, and superbly adapted to arid environments, thriving in regions that would become the cradle of agriculture. Their slender bodies, sensitive ears, retractable claws, and powerful night vision made them lethal to rodents, and it was this very skill that would draw them into the human world. Roughly 9,000 years ago, in the Fertile Crescent, humans were undergoing a profound transformation, the birth of agriculture. As people began storing grain, they inadvertently created an ecosystem perfectly suited to mice and rats, and where rodents gathered, so too did wild cats. This marked the beginning of a quiet revolution, an evolutionary dance between humans and felines. Unlike dogs, who were actively domesticated through selective breeding, cats effectively domesticated themselves. The bolder and more tolerant individuals remained near human settlements, feeding on vermin. Humans, recognizing their value, left them alone or even protected them. Over time, these semi-wild cats evolved traits favoring coexistence with humans. The oldest physical evidence of this relationship is a 9,500-year-old grave in Cyprus, where a human was buried alongside a cat, placed intentionally, not as food or sacrifice, but as a companion. Since cats aren't native to the island, this suggests early humans were already transporting them across sea routes. Genetic studies today confirm that modern domestic cats share approximately 96% of their DNA with African wildcats, retaining much of the same hunting instincts, behaviors, and even physical form. As civilizations rose, cats followed, By 2000 BCE, they had become fully integrated into daily life in ancient Egypt. But in Egypt, cats were more than useful. They were divine, associated with the goddess Bastet. Cats symbolized protection, fertility, and the sanctity of the home. Egyptians not only welcomed them into their homes, but into their temples and tombs. Killing a cat, even by accident, was considered a crime, punishable by death. When a family cat died, households entered mourning, often shaving their eyebrows as a sign of grief. Cats were mummified, buried with jewelry, and entombed in thousands, a testament to their status. Yet even amidst this religious reverence, cats served a very real purpose. Egyptian granaries were among the first large-scale food storage systems in history, and cats defended them from infestations that could decimate harvests. They were not worshipped blindly, but respected for their contributions. And as Egyptian merchants sailed the Mediterranean and Red Seas, cats sailed with them, protecting food and cargo aboard ships. As a result, cats spread rapidly to India, Persia, and eventually Europe. In Persia, cats were admired for their poise and cleanliness, often appearing in poetry and domestic scenes. In Zoroastrianism, though not deified, they were respected as symbols of order and domestic harmony. In early India, cats were referenced in Vedic literature and folk tales, often portrayed as clever and mysterious, if somewhat aloof. Cats never pulled carts, carried loads, or fought in wars, but their strategic value was undeniable. In port cities and trade centers, they played a quiet but critical role in preventing the spread of disease and spoilage. Rats not only destroyed food, they spread fleas, and with them deadly plagues. By simply doing what they evolved to do, cats helped safeguard human health and commerce. One legendary story from 525 BCE, during the Battle of Pelusium, tells of the Persian army under Cambyses II allegedly using cats and images of cats as psychological weapons, knowing that the Egyptians would hesitate to harm animals sacred to Bastet. While historians debate the truth of this tale, it captures how deeply cats had become woven into the religious and emotional fabric of Egyptian life. As centuries passed, cats continued their journey across continents, moving along trade routes and into castles, monasteries, and farmlands. In medieval Europe, they were both revered and reviled. They guarded manuscripts and monastic libraries, hunting mice that could destroy irreplaceable texts. Yet during outbreaks of disease, particularly the Black Plague, they were wrongly associated with witchcraft and were often killed in mass purges. Ironically, this led to uncontrolled rodent populations and may have accelerated the spread of the plague itself. Despite persecution, cats persisted, adaptable, elusive, and useful. Their place in human society, though never dominant, was consistent. They were guardians of food, keepers of knowledge, and companions to both peasants and kings. A major shift occurred in the 19th century when cats entered a new domain, public exhibition and breed competition. In 1871, the world's first organized cat show was held at London's Crystal Palace. Organized by artist Harrison Weir, the event drew over 150 cats and thousands of spectators. This marked the beginning of modern cat fancy culture. Breeds were named, standards were written, and competitive cat shows became global events. What had once been a useful hunter was now a symbol of beauty, pedigree, and human prestige. Alongside this rise in popularity, cats became the center of an emerging industry. Pet food, grooming products, toys, and veterinary services expanded rapidly in the 20th century. Organizations such as the Cat Fanciers Association and the International Cat Association set breed standards and hosted competitions across the world. In Japan, the cat took on a role not only in homes, but in spiritual and economic life. The Maneki Neko, or beckoning cat, became a national symbol of prosperity. In modern times, cats like Tama, the feline station master of a small rural train stop, became media sensations, drawing tourism and revitalizing local economies. Meanwhile, cats continued to serve their ancient function, hunting on farms, in warehouses, and aboard ships. They remained reliable defenders against rodents. During the Industrial Revolution, they were unofficial employees in textile mills, distilleries, and train stations. Their ability to adapt to changing environments made them indispensable to both rural and urban life. One famous example is Towser the Mouser, the resident cat at Glenturret Distillery in Scotland, who reportedly caught nearly 29,000 lice in her lifetime, a figure celebrated with a statue and a place in the Guinness Book of Records. Whether exact or not, the number reflects a broader truth. Cats have been quietly serving humanity for thousands of years, asking little in return but space, respect, and the occasional warm place to sleep. In both ancient fields and modern cities, cats earned their place not through force or obedience, but through partnership. They were never leashed or led, yet they followed, and the world, in turn, followed them. Even in today's fast-moving, digitally saturated world, cats continue to hold a deeply personal place in human lives, not just as pets, but as companions, caregivers, and silent healers. As emotional support animals, cats have emerged as powerful allies for mental and emotional well-being. Their quiet presence, rhythmic purring, and sensitivity to human moods create a calming environment that supports those experiencing anxiety, PTSD, depression, and other psychological challenges. Unlike dogs, who often seek interaction and affection through play or movement, cats offer something different, a form of passive companionship. They sit nearby, watch closely, and respond in subtle ways. This can be especially helpful for individuals with autism spectrum conditions, trauma recovery patients, and the elderly, who may find social interaction overwhelming, but still benefit from the comfort of another living being. Numerous care homes, psychiatric clinics, and long-term care facilities now incorporate therapy cats into their environments. The soft rumble of a cat's purr, a sound that vibrates at frequencies between 25 and 150 hertz, has been shown in some studies to promote relaxation, lower blood pressure, and even stimulate bone healing. While the science is still developing, the anecdotal evidence is overwhelming. In the quiet spaces of recovery and grief, cats have become constant presences, creatures that neither judge nor demand, but simply are. This deep emotional bond is nothing new. Throughout history, cats have appeared in the human imagination as both real and symbolic figures, guides, protectors, and mysteries. In ancient art, they were painted on tomb walls and carved into statues. In literature, they roam through epics and folk tales, often straddling the line between the natural and supernatural. In Norse mythology, the chariot of the fertility goddess Freya was said to be pulled by two large cats, symbols of strength and sensuality. In Slavic folklore, a shape-shifting cat named Bayun could lull people to sleep with its voice, sometimes healing, sometimes deadly. In Japan, the Bakeneko and Nekomata were mythological cats capable of transforming into human forms, haunting villages or bringing messages from the spirit world. These stories reflect a recurring theme: cats as liminal beings, neither entirely domestic nor fully wild, and always watching. In literature, cats have often been portrayed as mysterious, clever, or wise, from the Cheshire Cat in in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland to the poetic elegance of T.S. Eliot's Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats, felines have served as mirrors of human imagination. In more recent times, they've become internet icons, meme-ready creatures whose aloof expressions and unpredictable antics make them perfect for the age of digital storytelling. But cats have never been just fictional characters. They've had real impact on human culture, family structure, and even the development of urban life. In many cultures, cats occupy a unique space between wild and tame, sacred and mundane. In Islamic tradition, cats are admired for their cleanliness and allowed into mosques. The Prophet Muhammad is said to have shown deep affection for his cat, Muezza, treating the animal with such respect that its story became part of Islamic lore. In modern cities, cats have adapted better than almost any other domesticated animal. While dogs typically require human supervision, cats navigate apartment life, alleyways, rooftops, and courtyards with minimal intervention. Their independence makes them ideal companions in both dense urban centers and rural villages. Globally, more than 600 million cats live alongside humans, many as cherished pets, others as free-roaming urban scavengers. This coexistence has shaped not just the domestic sphere, but social behavior as well. In households across the world, the presence of a cat encourages routines of care, quiet moments of reflection, and a connection to something older and instinctive. For children, growing up with cats can nurture empathy and patience. For adults, they provide comfort without condition. For the lonely, the grieving, and the aging, they offer presence, one that expects nothing but respect in return. Yet, even as cats have flourished, the modern world presents new challenges. Free-roaming domestic cats, for instance, are estimated to kill billions of birds, reptiles, and small mammals each year, particularly in areas where they are not native. In some regions, they are now considered an invasive species, contributing to the decline or extinction of vulnerable wildlife. This has sparked ongoing debates between conservationists and cat advocates, particularly around the ethics of feral cat colonies and trap-neuter release programs. Globally, wild cat species such as the Iberian lynx, Scottish wildcat, and African serval face habitat loss, climate disruption, and genetic dilution through hybridization with domestic cats. Conservation efforts are underway across continents to protect these species, restore native habitats, prevent irreversible ecological shifts. In the Scottish Highlands, for example, rewilding programs aim to rebuild populations of the Scottish wildcat, once considered extinct in the wild. Domesticated cats themselves also face challenges, from overbreeding and shelter overcrowding to abandonment and lack of veterinary access in low-income regions. Animal welfare organizations are responding with global initiatives focused on spay and neuter programs, community education, and responsible ownership practices. New technologies, including microchipping, GPS tracking, and remote health monitoring, are being used to protect cats from disease, injury, and loss. Despite the controversies, most experts agree on one thing: cats are here to stay. They have adapted to every corner of human civilization, from rice farms in Southeast Asia to skyscrapers in New York City, and they will likely adapt to whatever comes next, across history, across continents, across cultures. The cat has remained unchanged in its essence: independent, observant, elegant, and enigmatic. While dogs may have followed us into the hunt and onto the battlefield, cats slipped silently into our homes and into our hearts, and there they remain, not as servants or tools, but as partners, equal in presence, quiet in power, and woven into the human story